FM Talk Radio Experience. The Point.
Now at 100.7.
It's time for Success in Real Estate with Frankie Griffin, owner and broker in charge of the Palmetto Success Team, certified residential specialist, accredited buyer representative, military relocation professional, real estate appraiser, and author of Success in Real Estate. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, or having your home appraised, you will enjoy Success in Real Estate. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Success in Real Estate. I am Frankie Griffin, and today is our Christmas show today. I absolutely love when we do this show. If you've been listening for a while, then you already know this, but if you haven't, I'll tell you now. You know, there's twice a year we put real estate aside and recognize the blessings and everything that has come our way over the last year. You know, God's been so good, especially to me and my family, and just like to give back a little bit. And, you know, and I've got a very special guest here in studio with me. Joyce Wagster is in studio. And how you doing this morning, Joyce?
I'm doing great. It's great weather outside. It's my Christmas kind of weather, so I'm excited that I don't really have to wear a coat, even though I have one in here. It's going to be coming off soon. But anyway, it's wonderful to be here.
And it's going to be warm tomorrow, like 75.
I know. That's my Christmas present, see.
You like it warm too, then. See, Brian wants it to be 85. And,
me too, Brian. Yeah, go 85.
But see, I want to be able to go outside and have the fire outside.
Oh, I love on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day for it to be cold and maybe a little snow. I'm like you with the fire, but like on December 26th, 85, Cancun weather.
Yes.
I'm from the South. God knew where to put me.
Hey,
He didn't put me up north, that's for sure.
Well, I'm glad he put you right here in the studio with us this morning. But you know, God has blessed you certainly with a very talented voice.
Well, you're
very
sweet. Very kind. Your words are kind.
And, you know, I've been listening to you sing for years, and, you know, especially in church. And, you know, it's one of those things where when you would walk out there to sing, this is going to be good. And I just knew it because it always is. It's incredible. In fact, we're going to hear you singing some throughout the show. In fact, when we go take our breaks, when we come back from break, we're going to be playing a song that you did. So we'll be hearing 3 of them as we go through. But, you know, this is it's just a very awesome, exciting time of the year. And, you know, because it's a way to, you know, a lot of people are, believe it or not, get depressed this time of year.
Oh.
Have you noticed that?
And having experienced, you know, the loss of a loved one in 2013, I can say it takes a different turn. It really does. So while a lot of us can be holly jolly, there are many of us who are going through a very tough time and wanting it to be over or just trying to get through it. And some of the notes I even made for today were to talk a little bit about that, to sort of help people, you know, during the time of the year where grief really hits them hard and they don't feel like they can cope or get through the holidays. But we have hope in that. We have hope because of the baby that was born. So that's what we have to always remember. And that's what brings Christmas full circle. It's not just about lights and trees and presents. It's about the gift of Jesus.
Absolutely.
And the hope that he gives us through his love.
Well, and you know, and you're right. That's exactly what Christmas is all about. And that was, you know, and God planned this, I mean, from the very beginning.
Right.
I mean, he knew, you know, it all started with Adam and Eve. They made the decision to rebel. And they were fooled, and Satan took advantage of it, as he still does today. But the answer to that is the birth of Christ.
Right.
And then ultimately the death and resurrection. So, you know, and those are just the things that we like to give praise.
Absolutely.
So, and you know, I love just taking out doing away with the real estate for a little while. It's just, as much as I love real estate, I love talking about Christmas and Easter even more.
my most favorite times of the year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love thinking it back. We all know, any of us who are in church or are Christians, and even people who are not, they know the story of the birth of Jesus. I think what I love the most is that the people then expected like a big fanfare, and he didn't come that way. He came to us, in a stable, in a little manger, and like we are today. He wasn't someone. He is the king, but he wasn't presented on that throne yet. He had to come, as an ordinary child. And I think Christmas to me is like a story that never ends. It's you can never put his light out, no matter what. And I think when I see Christmas lights, that's what always gets me excited about Christmas, because it's the beauty of those lights, and it reminds me of his light, and it reminds me of the peace that we see in our trees when you turn the lights on. Everybody's always, and why is that? And for me, it resonates the light of Christ, and I love turning the tree lights on and just feeling that peace in those lights. And
That's awesome.
And that gives you hope, and you have to have hope. We all need hope, and he gives us that. And, and his love shines every day. I think one thing I think we should all remember is that we're all very giving at Christmas, but I think the important thing to remember is that we need to remember 365. When I started a charity called A Voice for Our Kids, I went to shelters and I asked them what their needs were, and they said, well, everybody remembers us at Easter and Christmas, but we would really like them to know we're here January through October too, and so we have to remember 365 and have that Christmas spirit all year long. That's just the hope of Christ and the reason he came.
Now, you've written a book,
Yes.
too. And now,
Yes.
what's the book about?
The book was written along with my sister Bonnie Jennings after our mother passed away in 2013, and we faced a grief like we just could not imagine. But the story basically is written around what she did in her last 2 minutes after suffering for 7 days in ICU.
Oh, wow.
And we had to put her in comfort care, and we had to make a decision to turn a pacemaker off.
Wow.
And the last 2 minutes of her life, God gave us a gift that we never imagined, and it's something we really wanted to share. And what happened was we began to tell our story. We had a very troubling childhood with our father, who was an alcoholic from flashbacks from World War II. And so the story goes on to talk about letting go and learning to live without your mother or a loved one, and what life is before, during, and beyond grief. And so that's what the story's about. And we have the gift of salvation in there for anyone who wants to ask Jesus into their heart.
Awesome.
And it's based around Ecclesiastes 3, the seasons of life, a time for everything.
Well, obviously I want to talk about some of the things and get a little deeper into some of those things you just brought up. And as mentioned earlier, you are so blessed with a singing voice. It is just absolutely incredible that we would have someone that talented right here.
Oh, you are too kind, Frankie, but thank you.
Well, I am completely, and I'm going to tell you, we're getting ready to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to hear a song that you recorded, and we'll let the listeners decide, because I'm telling you,
that'd be nice. It's Christmas.
Well, I think you're going to be very, very impressed at the talent, and I'm looking forward to it. But you know what? This is also for you if you're listening. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to call in, add your thoughts, your comments. The number is 799-8255. Again, 799-8255. Be right back with our Christmas show on The Point.
Now at 100.7 FM and 1470 AM.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. This is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt his word. A thrill of hope, the weary world a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angel voices all night divine, oh night when Christ was born.
Wow, is that incredible or what? It's amazing
You're sweet.
that the talent. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. And I could play that whole CD and let that be the whole show.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you very much.
And-
It was fun recording that. I had to record it in like July. So to
July
have it ready for
of-
Christmas. Oh, this was like when Bradley was 8.
Oh,
so it was
okay.
years ago. I need to do another one now that I'm listening to that. It sort of has me in, recording mode, especially sitting here with these earphones and the microphone. I'm like, oh. But yeah, it was recorded by a wonderful man named Carl who had an in-home studio, and I had someone come in and play, and we had a great time. But it was in July, so it was about 110 degrees in July. But
Wow.
we did it, and I've enjoyed having a Christmas CD. It's been a blessing to be able to offer that.
Oh
to
man,
people.
I love it, and we listened to it. In fact, I had a CD, and in fact, I messaged you before the show. I don't know what happened to it. I think somebody must have took it. They had to have
You
taken
can
my
have
CD
this one.
because every Christmas I would put it in the car in the CD radio thing, and that's what we did.
Thank you very much.
It was just so good.
A blessing to sing for the Lord.
But anyway, I did want to give out the phone number again if you'd like to call in and participate or give us what your thoughts about Christmas would be. I'd love to hear from you. The number is 799-8255. Again, 799-8255. Love to hear from you. Now, Joyce, you have a ministry, basically. And tell us about that. What is that all about?
Well, the Lord, I accepted Christ in 1986. I always loved God all through my life, but it wasn't until 1986 that I asked Him to come into my heart and to my life. And so I sang with bands up and down the Southeast, The Occasions, Girl Watcher,
Really?
a band out of Greensboro called Black and Blue, and several other little bands in the area. So I was always singing on the road. But I came home, and that's exactly when I met Tony over at Trinity, and felt the Lord was calling me into music ministry. So whenever He has called, I have gone. So it could be from funerals all the way up to weddings or church concerts. Love doing Christmas concerts, women's conferences. Love speaking at women's conferences. And sharing music and the Lord's blessings. And any song I can say that I've ever sang has not been because I like the song. It's been because it was relevant to my life.
Yeah.
So it's a way to share testimony of what God has done through the ups and downs. I'm one of these people who have probably had more rejection, more no's than yeses, but I keep getting up and I keep moving forward. And it's one of those things that I love to speak about, to bring that word hope back into it. So, yeah, I love doing ministry, women's conferences, church concerts. I love senior citizen events, and the reason
wow.
being that I'm one now. Also,
Whatever.
that I bring the oldies to the senior citizen events. I do a lot of the songs that I grew up singing on the stage at the VA hospital. So we do Patsy Cline, Brenda Lee, Teresa Brewer, Connie Francis, Elvis, and have a
Wow.
great time doing senior citizen events. And we have a lot of fun with that. So
That
love
is
it.
awesome. Well, and I really believe everybody needs to have a ministry.
Absolutely.
But I don't think many people really think about it in that perspective. But just real quick, I will say about 6 or 7 years ago now. I've been doing real estate for a long time, and we've always done fairly well, and God's always taken care and provided. But I really never sensed or felt successful, if I can use that term, success, until it finally hit me one day that real estate is really not, it's not my job. It's not my occupation. It is my ministry.
Right. Absolutely.
Because, I'm in people's homes all the time. And we're getting to talk to people that we don't know, just meeting for the first time. And, you really get a sense of the hurt and some pain
Right.
that people feel. And it's not just this time of the year. It does seem like a lot of time the pain is accentuated a lot this time of year. And why do you
It
think
is.
that is? I know that's a tough question.
It is a
but-
tough question, and I'm going to share a story. I was in a business this past week, and a young man was there, and he asked me what my family was doing for Christmas, and I shared, it was going to be pretty laid back this year, but we were going to have fun and eat, of course, and enjoy the Christmas lights and family time, and he said, well, I don't celebrate any holidays, and I said, well, why is that? And he said, well, he had grown up in a different type of situation where holidays really weren't celebrated. He said, so I'm just kind of alone, and I just don't do any of it. And I said, wow, I can't imagine. I said, because I grew up in kind of a different situation, too, but Mother still always tried to bring some holiday cheer to the forefront. We celebrated, what Christmas was all about, and so I kind of left feeling like I didn't share enough, and I still may go back to this business to take something, but it broke my heart to think that he really didn't get it all, and I felt like he was lonely. But I did tell him this. I said, a Savior was born for us to give us peace, and I hope you find that this Christmas season. I hope that would be my Christmas wish for you. But I also said, but go get a tree and put some lights on it. I said, just go get a tree and put some lights on it and celebrate, because it's never too late to have a new beginning. And while you didn't have it growing up, I think you're missing out. And I think it would be great for you to go and find that place. And I hope he does. I really hope he goes. And even if he just finds a little tree with a little string of lights, I think we all need to feel that Christmas love. But it is a tough time. And when you're hurting, it's very tough. And so I even, like I said, I brought some things along today to even share with people. If they're having a hard time, have them call in and let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
And share some things that you can do to help lift that burden of that loss. It could be the loss of a job, as we talked about recently, the loss of a loved one, a disconnection with the loved one. It's a great time of the year to make amends. It's never too late to have a new beginning.
Well, it's, the whole reason Jesus was born was to bring hope.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Yes.
that's what it's all about. We now have hope, and it's guaranteed. It's not something that we hope that things will work out right.
Right.
There is a definite and true plan. And once you really understand and you understand that salvation and how to get that salvation, it's you can't take that away.
And I even told this person, too, I said, there are Christmas services everywhere. Go to church Christmas Eve. I asked the area he lived in, and I said, there's some churches that go. Those people will embrace you. This could be a new beginning for you into your new year. And whether he does or not, I don't know, but it saddened me to think that people are hurting. And like you say, we are in a ministry. We're in a ministry not just if we stand on a pulpit or if we sing a song or if we go speak somewhere. We're in a ministry every day of our lives as we walk even through stores.
Yeah.
Going into this business in particular, there was a reason for us to communicate. I felt like that day it was like a God appointment. Maybe this was a time to share. And one of my favorite verses I wanted to share, if I could, during this time of the year is John 1:14, and it says, "The Word became flesh and made His dwelling among us. We have seen His glory, the glory of the one and only Son who came from the Father, full of grace and full of truth." And grace and truth are two things that we need to hang on through Him, especially in today's world. And that brings us back to that word hope again.
Yeah.
I need to write a song about hope. That's called Hope. But may do that as I go home today. But I think that we have to remember that, He is the one that gives us full grace and full truth. And He's the one we need to follow. And I'm like anyone else. A lot of times people think when you're in ministry that life is just grand and everything goes. No, we have ups and downs like anyone else. I have hard days like anyone else, and I have to reach myself, and that's a part of being human. But I do have the Lord there, and so do you, and so does everyone out there that wants to hold our hand and guide us through the tough times and celebrate our victories as well.
Absolutely.
He's not just there for the tough times. He's there to celebrate all the victories as well, and we should celebrate.
Well, if we don't go through those hard times, difficult times, sad times, then there's no way you can understand and be able to help and talk to other people that are going through it. But it is a lot easier when you know Jesus is there. You can just feel the Spirit.
Yes.
It's a calming even though it still hurts, it's pain, but at least you're calm. You know that everything's going to be okay.
And I'm glad to have him. I know that.
Absolutely.
I am because I call out to him a lot. Daddy and I have a lot of conversations. I can tell you. I talk a lot, and I do call him Daddy.
Yeah.
I call him my father because having lost my earthly father when I was only 12, I had a very strong mother of faith, and she wasn't perfect by any means because nobody is. We know we've heard that saying over and over again, and she wasn't, but she did keep God the center through all the ups and downs, and Jesus is God's promise to us,
Yeah.
and we can rely on that.
Yeah, and we know He's coming back.
Yes.
And don't know when, but you look at and you hear about things going on all over the world. It is sad that we have reached some of the way people act, the killing and the murder and the terrorism and stuff. But you know what? God's word said this is going to happen. It's coming.
And then one of the hardest questions you'll ever have, even in ministry or everyday life, is why would God allow this to happen? And that is a hard one to answer.
Mm-hmm.
But this is earth, and this is the reason He sent a Savior. And things here weren't going to be perfect because perfection is going to be in eternity and the new earth. And so we have that to look forward to. But what we have to do is, we hear a lot of bad things on the media, but it's the good things we need to hang on to.
You're right. Again, love to hear from you. If you have any comments, 799-8255. Be right back with more Christmas Show.
Jesus, Jesus, oh, what a wonderful child. Jesus, Jesus, so lonely, meek and mild. New life, new hope, new joy He brings. Won't you listen to the angels sing? Glory, glory, glory to the newborn King. Jesus,
Wow.
Jesus.
Now, that shows some rain right there.
Frankie, you were so funny.
That's incredible. It's
That is
just,
one of my favorite songs. That and another song called That Little Baby. I didn't get to record that one, but I love Jesus, What a Wonderful Child. It's just upbeat. It makes you feel good, and the message in it's great, and just a lot of fun to sing. But and the audiences always seem to get into those that are a little bit more upbeat too, many times. So when you get them into it, you can really share the message.
obviously, I don't sing a lick, nor can I dance, but I almost jumped up and started dancing right
you should
there.
have danced. Go ahead.
No, we're videoing, so that would
okay.
not have been a good sign. But by the way, we are videoing and recording this show, so we will have it. It'll be on Facebook, and
great.
We'll have it out there for those that want to see it again. But you've got these CDs now. Do you sell these CDs?
I do at concerts, and they're on my website, JoyceGlennWagster.com. And I'm also on Facebook, Joyce Glenn Wagster. Check out the Facebook page. Come on over and join in. Just send me a little message saying heard you on the show, and I'll friend you.
And it's not just Christmas.
No,
You've got,
I have several CDs that recorded through the years. Yes.
Oh man, that's gonna be all. And you've got your book. Is it one book or how?
It's one book.
One book.
I have a children's book too, but this is our newest book called Letting Go: Living Without Mama, Life Before and Beyond Grief, and it's just sharing our story and what God gave us through our mother in her last 2 minutes of life, and how we dealt with the grief in hopes of helping someone else going through a hard time, but more importantly, how she always felt that everyone's life should be centered around God, and so we share that in the message through Ecclesiastes 3, and also offering the gift of salvation.
Awesome.
So yeah, very excited.
Well,
about it.
Joyce, we do have Larry on the line.
We do.
Right
hey,
now.
Larry.
How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing fine this morning. Gosh, it's good to hear those two great voices this morning.
Well, you know what, Larry? I did not know that this Joyce is your sister-in-law.
Yeah, we kind of keep that kind of quiet. But it's okay. It's okay.
I had no
Sorry, Larry,
idea.
I spilled it over the radio.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. Well, Joyce was sharing some things about you. And so, Joyce, let's hear it. Let's hear this about
Well,
you.
Larry, when I was sharing with him, we were talking in between about Christmas traditions, and I was telling him about your new book, The Silver Tree, and the beauty of it and the message in it, but also about how you as a 14-year-old, tell them, the audience, what you did when you were 14 and why this tree means so much to you.
Well, it's one of those things where just young kids downtown, we would go downtown to the movies and things like that, and my brother would. And one day we were waiting for our bus to pick us up, and we went into Silver's, 5 and dime, and I was going to buy a yo-yo. I had planned to buy it and save my money to get this special yo-yo. But as I was in there, walking around, something really caught my eye. It was amazing. It was a glistening, beautiful silver Christmas tree. Never seen anything like that before. And my mother, God love her, and the sweetest woman in the world, she loves stuff like that. And I said, wow, my mother would love that. Wonder how much it is. It ain't make a longer story kind of brief. I was able to purchase it for her. And we got it on the bus and drug it home. And when she first saw it, she was so excited. I thought it was about the tree, but I think what it turns out to be, was more because her son took his own money and bought something just for her. And so she loved it for 60 years. Every year I had to erect it for her. And finally, Mother passed away a few years ago, and we're packing up the house, and there was that old rattled, tattered silver tree that I wanted to throw in the trash can so many times, but anyhow, I couldn't. When I picked it up, it hit me. All these years I'd been so aggravated about it and very poor attitude about it. All that time I completely missed the meaning of the tree. It had nothing to do with a silver tree. It was all about her son loving her so much. And I had always missed that, and gosh, it just about killed me. So it hits the book, The Silver Tree, comes from that. And I kind of relate the story of how coming up and all those things that happened during my life, how I was the most blessed little boy in the world. Should have been dead, but here I am today. And so anyhow, the book kind of came from that. It's gone to the publisher right now, and
I think what it talks about too, though, is that something that we were talking about earlier and off the air is attitude and things that we take for granted, and not realizing those simple things are huge things. And we see huge things as being the huge thing, when really it's the simple things that are the huge things, and how our attitudes do need to change to embrace those things. Like we say, Jesus came to a manger as a lowly baby, and he wasn't born like, on a silver platter, I guess you would say. And yet when we embrace those little things like that, that means so much. When that star was shining, and for Violet, that's Miss Violet, Larry's mother, her star was her family. Those were her stars, and she loved family, and she loved entertaining people, and she loved that tree. And believe me, when we were taking pictures of this tree for the book, it kept falling over, and limbs are falling off, and he literally was having to put this tree in a bucket to make it stand up for her, and it would even lean, but she didn't care. She embraced the beauty of those things, and I think that's something that we all need to embrace, so that when our loved ones are gone, we see them more, but it would be great if we would stop and realize that we need to see them now.
Absolutely.
And share that beauty of that with those people. So Larry's got a great book, and can't wait for it to come out for people.
Well, and one takeaway from that I wrote, put in, it came to me as we wrote the book and put in there, was, when does something become more what it means than what it is?
Yeah.
And that was pretty important, in fact, to realize, as George just said, you need to realize things are not just things. They are what they mean, and what they mean to someone. So it should be so important. So at any rate, hey, gosh, good to talk with both of you this morning.
Larry, thank you so much for calling in. And, if I don't see you or talk to you before, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas this year.
Well, same to you, Frankie.
All right, buddy.
Bye, Larry. Thanks.
You take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
All right, and it's always fun to talk to Larry, and he's got his show on here, and always an incredible show. But I had no idea about his book. He never told me about it.
It's a great testimony, and
well,
it's brand new. So my sister worked very hard on that book too, and I loved being a part of getting to write maybe the part of the Christmas story when it was actually downtown, because that's Christmas just my favorite time of the year. I am a Hallmark Christmas movie addict, I admit. From October 30th on, your son's shaking his head.
Yeah.
Oh, please. And I love it. But and sometimes they do make me cry, but I kind of need that. But it's just a simple reminder that they take stories, and this to me could be a Hallmark movie. It really could. This book could be a Hallmark movie. But one of the things I was thinking about too, about talking about blessings, and we talk about hope a lot, but Christmas to me is also about fellowship and generosity, love and giving, and those are still attributes in life that we should do 365, not just at Christmas, but we're reminded more about it at Christmas time. But just kind of remember out there, I think we all love to give at Christmas, but we should all love to give. And not just, I'm not talking monetary or materialistic things, just of our time. Time is such a valuable gift, and I don't know that we give enough of that to each other because we're so busy crossing each other's paths. And as much as I love Facebook, I love seeing you face to face. I love seeing people on Facebook, but do we really see people face to face anymore as much as we should and connect that way? So let's try to make Christmas more of a 365 thing instead of just, the 1st through the 25th.
Absolutely. Well, let me, coming up in our last segment, or leading into the last segment, we're going to open up the last with the last song, and it's Christmas Shoes.
Right.
And I absolutely love that song, especially your version, because your son helped you. But
Bradley
that
was 8.
Now he was 8.
He was 8
at the time. Now how old is he now?
23.
So this has been a while.
It's been a while.
And I love this song. Now we're going to play the whole song when we come out or come back from this break. But we do have to take our last break. But be listening. If this song does not touch you, then we need to get your pulse checked or something. But anyway, we'll be right back with a little bit more Christmas show.
Now at 100.7 FM and 1470 AM.
It was almost Christmas time. There I stood in another line, trying to buy that last gift or two. Not really in the Christmas mood. Standing right in front of me was a little boy waiting anxiously, pacing round like little boys do. And in his hands he held a pair of shoes. And his clothes were worn and old. He was dirty from head to toe. And when it came his time to pay, I couldn't believe what I heard him say.
Sir, I'm gonna buy these shoes for my mama, please. It's Christmas Eve and these shoes are just her size. Would you hurry, sir? Daddy says there's not much time. You see, she's been sick for quite a while, and I know these shoes would make her smile, and I want her to look beautiful if Mama meets Jesus tonight.
He counted pennies for what seemed like years. Then the cashier said, "Son, there's not enough here." He searched his pockets frantically, and then he turned and he looked at me. He said, "Mama made Christmas good at our house, though most years she just did without. Tell me, ma'am, what am I gonna do? Somehow I've got to buy her these Christmas shoes." So I laid the money down. I just had to help him out. And I'll never forget the look on his face when he said, "Mama's gonna look so great."
Sir, I wanna buy these shoes for my mama, please. It's Christmas Eve and these shoes are just her size. Would you hurry, sir? Daddy said see, she's been sick for quite a while, and I know these shoes would make her smile, and I want her to look beautiful if Mama meets Jesus tonight.
I knew I'd caught a glimpse of heaven's love as he thanked me and ran out. I knew that God had sent that little boy to remind me what Christmas is all about.
Sir, I wanna buy these shoes for my mama, please. It's Christmas Eve and these shoes are just her size. Would you hurry, sir? Daddy says there's not much time. You see, she's been sick for quite a while, and I know these shoes would make her smile, and I want her to look beautiful if Mama meets Jesus tonight. I want her to look beautiful if Mama meets Jesus tonight. Meets Jesus tonight.
Wow.
Such a sweet little voice.
Isn't it? And I can only imagine how great that was for you to do that with him.
Oh, it was fun, and Bradley is our behind the scenes child. The oldest one is the out front child. So for him to do that, it took a lot for him to really go in the studio and do that. But he was just he was sweet doing that, and then he allowed me to take pictures with him holding shoes for the album cover when we did it. But it is, and it will always be special to me. My mother loved that.
I
She listened to
bet.
it over and over, so it's just always a reminder of how much she loved the accomplishments of her grandchildren.
Well,
Every
everybody loves their mother. I mean, that's probably the biggest connection, love that you're going to have on earth. But the good news is, even when we will be reunited,
We will be.
and it's even going to be better.
Oh, much better.
And that's the great thing. But we do have let's see, we got Joy on the phone line with us. Joy, how you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I
morning.
just have to say, I don't get to listen to your show all the time because I'm in and out of houses, but I would have to say this is your greatest show because
Awesome.
you're making Christ the center, and all your other shows are wonderful, but only when you honor Him will all your real estate success be what it is.
I couldn't say it
So-
any better.
That's great.
Awesome. So
I
are
just
you
appreciate what you're doing with your show today, and just stepping out in courage and faith.
well, it's pretty easy, honestly, when God is so good and He's provided so much, and even when things seem hard, and they do, and I'm sure you know this too, Joy, but when things seem hard, when you know Jesus is there, you know you're going to be fine. It's somehow we're going to be led through it all, and it all works out perfectly. So
And I think you asked earlier about the depression of people, and I'm in the hospice world, so basically you see people that are reminded of their losses at such a time when they to celebrate with family, and those empty chairs aren't filled anymore.
Right. Right.
you're right. Well, Joy, thank you so much for calling in. You don't know how much I appreciate you calling and saying that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Merry
Joy.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
All right, sweetie. Have a great one. But going back to this Christmas shoes, it's as much as the mom, like in Larry's case. I can only imagine how special that tree was for his mom.
And yes, and knowing his mother.
But
yeah.
what it did for Larry,
Yes.
that's the thing, to give it. And when you can help people, like in the song, helping this child
Right.
do something that was so special for him. He wanted to do something for his mom. And that is, like the song, that's what Christmas
is all
about.
And we go back to those simple things once again. It's
Yeah.
not always. I had recently asked. I was with Brandon and Hannah down in Myrtle Beach, and I said, "Do you remember Christmases?" Because growing up, we talked about this with my siblings, and we don't remember a lot of Christmases and things like that, other than the traditions that Mama laid forth. And they talked about, yes, they remembered the anticipation. They remembered watching the Nativity as a family. We would watch that on Christmas Eve, and that's a wonderful movie. If you've not seen the Nativity,
Yeah.
get this movie for your family and watch it Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And they didn't talk about the presents. Neither one of them did. They talked about the anticipation, family, going to Mama's house for chicken and grits. It was those little things, and I was so glad it wasn't about anything materialistic. It was about the memories of the trees or the chicken and grits and the anticipation of getting up and knowing family was coming. And that meant a lot to know that those were the things that they remembered the most. It wasn't about getting the PlayStation Brandon did mention the Magic Kit, but he got that when he was six, and today he is a magician, of course. But that meant something to him. But it was something that he truly wanted, and it ended up involving a lot within his life. But one of the scriptures I would like to read is from Isaiah 9:6-7, and I just think it's just always a reminder that for to us a child is born, to us a son is given. A son is given. We have been given a gift through the Son, and the government will be on his shoulders. The government will be, that's huge. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. And I love this verse. Of the greatness of his government and peace, there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from the time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this.
Amen.
Which means he is huge.
Absolutely.
And he watches over us, and he holds us in his hands. And like Joy was saying, if she's in the hospice environment, she sees a lot of sadness, she sees a lot of grief. But what a ministry she has to be there, to be able to hold the hands of those people and to share those little things and to show them how to remember the good things and the little things that mean so much. And God is big, and he does hold this world with all the crazy things that are going on in it. At the end, he's going to reign, and we're going to reign with him forever.
Amen.
What a great Christmas gift to have all year round.
Well, we started out the show talking about, there are so many people out there that are hurting, they're in pain, and they don't understand. And I'm going to tell you, money will not make you happy. No. The materialistic side of success, that's not going to, you're never going to be happy until you have hope in your life. And the only true hope is Jesus. And, if you're listening right now and you feel that way, you want hope, you need hope, and we all need it, call me. Call Joyce. Would love to talk to you. I can tell you can, all my contact information, because I expect a lot of people are probably riding down the road in the car and can't write stuff down. But you can go to my website, frankiegriffin.com, and all my contact information is there, and nothing would suit me better than to come sit down, talk to you, have some coffee. And Joyce, we just got a few seconds, but what's your website? How can we get in touch with you?
www.joyceglenn.com, and on Facebook, Joyce Glenn Waxter, W-A-G as in girl, S-T-E-R.
Awesome. Joyce, thank you so much for coming in.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. Talk to you next week with Success in Real Estate.